Good evening, guys. Rusty here, and welcome to Gear Night. Back again for the third episode. You wouldn't know. Travi is here. Travi, g'day, Travi. How you doing?
Very well, thanks, Rusty. Thanks for having me, mate.
I was going to ask you how many episodes we've done, but this is your first one. So that's not useful.
Not at all.
Episode number 3, I'm pretty sure we're up to, and it's going to be a good one tonight. Hope you guys are all well. Hope you're not in Victoria or New South Wales now. But anyway, hope you guys are safe and good and ready to listen to a whole stack of stuff about guns. A huge amount of people in the comments already. Thanks so much for everyone who's joining. It's mostly because our guest is very big, high-profile guest tonight, so that's why everyone's keen on him. And so g'day to everyone who's in the chat. Just scroll back up there if you wouldn't mind, Travis. We'll just scroll up through a few of them. Say g'day to a few people. G'day Anthony and Craig and Steve Blacker and Kieran and Nikki as well. Butters is sending some love out to Danny as well. Sean Watts and Rob said this is the gun church on Thursday night. So. Love to hear that. Ian Murrell, g'day, and Klaus and Ian and all sorts of stuff. Ben's here as well. A fantastic, nice hat. Thanks very much, mate. I do like this one. It's a good thing. Guys, if you're there, tell us what you've been up to. If you've been shooting, if you're not allowed to go shooting, what colour face mask you've got, whatever it might be. We'd love to hear from you and keep that going. Now, our guest tonight is one I've been very excited about having on the show because there's not a guy in the country who plays with as much gear as this guy. I think. We'll go with that. He's not sure about that statement. Anyway, he gets to play with all sorts of stuff and has wandered the halls of SHOT Show for years and years, and that's actually where I met him, but no doubt that'll come up at some point. And if you haven't heard of Delta Tactical, you definitely need to. And joining us tonight is Danny from Delta Tactical. How are you, Danny?
Good. Thanks, Rusty. Thanks for the intro.
How
are you going?
No worries, man. I should have said some more stuff. But anyway, here we are. We will get all the information from you. Now, first up, if anyone doesn't know what Delta Tactical is about, we're going to throw up the Instagram handle. I'm just throwing challenges over to Travi to work out how to do that because it's some new fancy tech we've rolled out. But can you give us a quick little overview of what Delta Tactical is all about and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, we aim to sell the best equipment that we can find for whether that be, obviously our major focus is PRS and you guys are doing an amazing job. But it's also a hunting TAC market. So it comes, from a $10 little accessory all the way up to a $20,000 rifle and everything in between. We're very niche. We keep it specialized. We're very selected. We select the products we would only use, and if we wouldn't use them, we won't sell them, and we just stick with that philosophy.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. That's very good. And so you guys, if you're watching, you can follow on Delta Tactical here on Facebook, on Instagram, all sorts of places. I'm sure you can find it, and they post some sexy looking pics. Or is that just what you send me? I'm not sure. Anyway, there's also some photos of guns and stuff, which is good to good to look at. Also, Travi, you're in the room. Thanks heaps for running the buttons, mate. Now, where can people find you? I know it'll take you a moment to flick those details across, and you're staring intently at the screen.
I am, mate. No, we're learning. Don't worry.
You're doing well, mate. You're doing well. And if we click our fingers, your Instagram thing should turn up. There we go.
It will. There we go. We're at Travis Shooting Adventures on Facebook and Instagram, mate.
Fantastic,
thanks very much.
Mate. Well, thanks for sitting in the hot seat tonight and Preston doing all the work really just while Danny and I just chat away and do our thing. So anyway, very good. So Danny, tell us a little bit about how you got into shooting, the first gun you shot, those sort of things.
Okay, how I got into shooting, I don't know. I always had a passion. Some of my earliest memories were playing with my grandfather's guns when I was a little kid. And, I always used to make my parents buy me little soldiers outfits and all sorts of stuff and running around.
Yep.
But I don't think it was until about 9 when I shot my first rifle.
Okay.
And it was a mate's air rifle in his backyard. And I remember we used to spend every afternoon shooting his mum's pegs off the clothesline, which she didn't like because she couldn't figure out where they kept going. But we had a lot of fun.
Yep. Yeah. Fantastic, mate. Do you remember any details of the air off, or was it just some generic break action air rifle.
One of those old break open, spring loaded things.
Yeah.
It was cool. When you're a 9-year-old, any gun is cool.
Yeah, not wrong, mate. Not wrong. Very, very. You can relate to that story, absolutely, mate. And
I'm sure I like that.
What was your? Do you remember your next one, or what was the next significant moment in that shooting side of things?
Oh, we did that for a long time, and then my first rifle was a CZ American in a 22 Win Mag.
Very nice. Okay.
With a little Bushnell Trophy scope, and I cherish that thing. Timber stock, sporter barrel. Had a lot of fun shooting bunnies at the in-laws farm. This was before my wife and I were married. Her parents had a farm. Her whole family, dad, brother, were into shooting non-stop.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what really made me go get my gun license back then. And after that, it was any chance. I remember my first centerfire shot was, we stayed there the night, and my brother-in-law promised we were going to go hunting, but he was still asleep. And obviously I was impatient, so I snuck in and took his 264 Winchester, and I ran out. And they had a permit for ruse and stuff, and so I saw one, and I can tell you that gunshot was his alarm clock. So it was fun times, and that was it. After that, it was flat out centerfire, gun to gun to gun to gun, just moving on, moving upwards.
Yeah, full on, mate. Fantastic. Do you still have that 22 Win Mag? No. It's been
I
moved
don't.
on.
It became one of those things. It was a sporter barrel. I had to have a varmint.
Okay.
So I sold it.
Yeah.
And then I had to get a heavy barrel. And then this had to happen. So I think Jay and maybe Steve were talking the other week, the worst thing is to be the guy that keeps buying things and upgrading. That was this guy. So, from, a CZ all the way through, I can't count the number of scopes, accessories, guns I've shot, owned, had. It's been a whirlwind ever since.
What was your favourite type of shooting back then? Hunting obviously was the main thing, I'm guessing. Did you do much competition stuff back then, or was it all on game?
It was all hunting. First competition I did, it was actually the first and last for a long time, was a fly shoot.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember going there, and you had all these guys, it was at Little River, with their, fly guns all set up, their wind flags out, their big rests. And, I go there with a TAC Ops green gun they've never seen in a 308 with a bipod. And they're looking at me going, mate, I don't think you're meant to be here. The spectators one is down there. And anyway, it was the first and last for a long time, and it was still fun. And then I got into it was the Victoria Police Rifle Club at the Bendigo range, and I was a member there for a few years. And we shot. It wasn't it was unofficial. We used to just shoot there, have fun. Club guys getting together, shooting eggs at 300, or shooting targets, whatever.
Yeah.
But honestly, thankfully to you guys, it wasn't until PRS when I competed again at Mildura.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. So that was the rekindled it and back into the competition side of things. You've had a few goes at it. What were you running back at Bendigo equipment wise?
Where do I start?
Well, I'll get the list out. There we go.
I had a TAC Ops in a 308.
Yep.
Which I didn't want to sell, but I did because someone was very persistent. Then I had him build me another one in the 260. 260. And I ran that. Then a custom Badger M2013 in a KRG chassis. So I'll use that. There was a custom 223. There was a 243 Tikka with a Manners stock, which was, I love that gun. I should never have sold it.
I'm sensing a theme here of that, Danny. You've used some guns that you probably let go without wishing you'd held on to it. But you've used quite a bit of gear, mate.
Yeah. Always trying to try new things. Same as scopes. It's try it, move on, see what works, see what doesn't work. familiarize ourselves with it.
Yeah. What about that first PRS that you shot? What did you run for that? Do you remember?
Yes, that was Mousingfield with in a 260. Had a Krieger barrel. Had the KRG Habu, which I think was the first time a lot of people had seen a Habu, and I had a tangent scope on it.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, it's that would be a good setup. I do remember that. Yeah, not too many people have seen the Habu. That's a rare one to get a hold of.
Yeah, and that one's not getting sold.
You say that now.
The gun doesn't exist anymore.
Sorry?
The rifle doesn't exist anymore, but the chassis is still with me.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure for anyone who's trying to work out what that is, that chassis we're talking about, that's the chassis that's on the spur boxes, isn't it?
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's the real fancy looking chassis, and they're very they're not a common one to get from KRG. You generally don't find them too easily. Very nice. Yeah. It may go wandering. You might just come back to your gun one day, and there'll just be a barreled action sitting there on the ground one day at a match.
The barreled action's gone. The chassis is all that's left.
Yeah, but if you're out shooting a match with it again, the chassis may go as well. But who knows? Nice, mate. Maybe. So I guess that's given you a really interesting ability to try lots of different gear, and clearly you've always enjoyed trying stuff and trying new stuff and putting that in. Did that sort of accidentally delve into Delta Tactical, or how did that all start? Oh, we may.
Okay. So not really a sexy story, and
sorry, mate. COVID got your internet connection over there.
You got me?
Yeah. We've got you back, mate. We just maybe take that mask off your modem.
All right.
He's just sitting very still for a little while, won't
he? Yeah, I think I should.
He's very well controlled.
Somebody take a screenshot now.
That would be an appropriate moment to do it. We were having this. It's a little bit of a challenge before, where Danny's internet would get sick for a little while and come back in a moment. So he'll be back in a moment, no doubt. He's just logged off, so we'll join him again. But yeah, as you can tell, Danny's used all sorts of gear, which is exciting, mate. You're on the other end of that spectrum, aren't you, Travi?
Yeah, mate. I've used very little gear in my career so far. I've started with a pretty modest setup and just run with it and learning with it. So I'm sort of taking the avenue of just get really good at what I've got first, and then try and work out what I need to grow a bit further from there. I think it's working for me so far. We just got to see how far we can push it, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, I do believe we might have Danny back here. So welcome back, mate. COVID got you quickly.
Thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, we were talking about a not very sexy story in regards to the start of Delta Tactical. How did that come about?
It started, I guess, with a curiosity of, you go down the rabbit hole. You buy your first gun, you start researching, you jump online. Back then it was Sniper's Hide, Sniper Central were the two main places you went to. Do your research, you start reading, you go to a gun store, and they've never heard of what you're talking about.
Yes.
And it was like, so how do I get this? And so then, you figure out the path on how to get, it could be something, it was like a 20 MOA pick rail from Badger.
Yep.
Or a set of Badger rings.
Yep.
And you bring that in, and then you go to the gun store and you're talking to them, and they're like, oh, where'd you get that from? And so you tell them, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, can you get me one? It's like, yeah, okay.
Yep.
And then it goes to that. And then, I remember when the Leupold Mark IV was the be-all and end-all of scopes. That was it. That was the king. And they were selling for like $3-4 grand here. And we were able to bring them in from the States for $1,000.
Wow. Yeah,
and
right.
Like, okay, let's get them. And then everyone's like, oh, how'd you get that scope? It's like, it's not that expensive. It's like, it is, but it's like not in comparison to what the prices were. So for me, it started off that way and just bringing stuff in for myself. And you go to the range and you start talking to people, and, one person asks, the other person asks, and you start bringing it in. And then Tony, I met through my cousin. So he married my cousin. But when they started going out, I think probably the first time I saw it, I was talking to my cousin, like, oh, he's into shooting too. You know, the first time at a gun show.
Yep. Met him. Sorry, mate. We'll just
Yeah.
recap that. You met him first time at a gun show.
Yeah, and we started talking about you know, a few things here and there, and then I left. Like, we looked at each other and we went, like, when you just know, like, you're my kind of guy.
Yeah.
And you know, I was like, oh, please, cars, don't ruin this. Like, he was like, what's the best scope you can get? S&B PM2, I'll take 6. And, you know, he was winning himself as well. And instead of paying 6.5, which they were, you know, he was landing him for like $3,000. And so it was half the price, everything back then, because importing was hard. Nobody really knew what the go was. You had to have contacts. And anyway, we started bringing in bit by bit for each other, and we realized that we were doing it, and people were asking him, people were asking me. So I don't know where we were, what we were talking about, but somehow we just went, do you want to try start a business out of this? Hello?
Yeah. Sorry, mate. Carry on. We're just having some visual issues, but we're still here.
Have you lost all the cameras there, Danny?
Yeah.
Or
so sorry.
No, all good,
carry
mate.
on, mate. Carry on.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So we just thought, do you want to start a business out of this? And we went, yeah, why not? Let's just see what happens. And it just went from mumbled and.
Looks like we've lost him again.
Yeah, we just we're facing some technical challenge, it would seem, on both sides. But I'm on the edge of my seat for the story, so we need him back.
If you're watching in Victoria, can you stop watching so we can listen to what Danny's saying? I think everyone's using the internet over there at the moment.
Just tell your other half to get off of. Now the plague has come here. Tell the other half to get off Netflix for all of Victoria, and we should be good to go. That would be excellent. Anyway, while we've got this pause, we're just going to check in with some of the comments while we have Danny rejoin us.
We've got from Mr. Ian Nolan here.
So Anthony's been practicing with the new 6.5 Creedmoor with the new APA Little Bastard. Just arrived, so that'll be exciting. Ian's got a question for Danny. We'll get onto that in a moment. Scotty Patel's telling us that Danny can stay in Victoria. Don't need the kind up that way. Speaking of up that way, Travi, did you see Bigoton doing a team shoot?
I did. That looks so good. It's so good, but probably just a little bit unattainable at this stage with all the COVID restrictions going on, isn't it?
We'll see how we go. But we got Danny back now, so we'll jump back into that, and we'll come back to the Bigoton if we need to, mate. How you turn Netflix off, or is it you just close the porn tab on your browser?
I'll open the door. Maybe that'll make a difference. I don't know.
That'll do it. So you were telling us that you were bringing stuff in. Importing was difficult back then, and there was a few more steps to it and bits and pieces. But you guys were working out that maybe there was a bit more to it.
Yeah, and you know, we thought, why not just give it a shot? Whatever happens. It's people are asking. We'll start it. You know, sort of backyardish, I guess you want to say. Whatever. Like, it was a hobby. Right. Yeah. And we started bringing bits in, you know, a rail here, a scope there, a ring here. And then we imported a couple rifles. And that was a drama in and of itself. But we figured out how to do it. And they came in. And then we got asked, can you bring ours? And so we did. Yep. You know, someone else said, can you bring us one? And we did. And we sort of grew slowly, and we just fumbled and bumbled our way through it. And, you know, however many years later, here we are. Yeah,
brilliant, mate. And so, were you dealing directly with the companies, or were you sort of just buying off retailers? Was there a particular company that you started that relationship with?
Not at the start, no. So at the start, it was pretty much the forums on Sniper's Hide and Sniper Central.
Yep.
And just, I guess, their marketplace, and finding who was willing to ship, and whoever wasn't, you know, we knew a couple of people, but Mike from TAC Ops became a very dear friend, like family.
Yep.
And we used to just bombard his house and just ship it there and say, you know, hey, bro, another parcel. Can you please package it up and send it on? And as it grew, you know, deal direct with one company, then with another. I think at the start, the first real major company to help us out was EuroOptic in the US.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And so we're buying a lot of our stuff from those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And they were sending it. And then obviously, you know, you go through one exporter, have a bad experience, another. And then when we finally settled on one, it's sort of things became easier. And as you figure out your way and make all your mistakes, you learn from them and you just progress.
Yeah, nice, mate. So what was a hot item? How long ago was this, Danny? What sort of time period?
10 years?
10
years? 10 years.
Yeah. And so what were the top items that you were always getting asked for that you'd like land and they'd be gone within 5 minutes sort of stuff?
Ooh. Optics was a big one.
Yeah.
So whether it was S&B, Swaros, I remember Pentax scopes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a few Burroughs. Then it became rings. So all the optic accessories, they were the easiest because they weren't controlled. They didn't require any special permits or licenses.
Yep.
You know, bolt knobs.
Yep.
Tactical bolt knobs when the REM 700 was getting their teardrop style big bolt knob. Slings then started picking up, like the tab gear stuff through when they were still through rifles only.
Yep.
And then it progressed to, you know, magazines and everything else then, barrels, guns, actions.
Yeah, nice. The works, mate. You had all sorts of stuff going on. Yeah.
Yeah, bit by bit.
And so you over that period of time, you said you sort of started a bit backyardish, but then you became the official agents for particular brands. Who was your first that took you on like that?
Wow.
Asking the tough questions tonight, Danny.
I don't even remember, to be honest.
No? Okay.
No. Like, I know there's standout brands that, you know, we consider our premier brands, but they're obviously newer. Like AI was maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That was definitely our biggest. That one was at the time, when we got it, we just looked at each other and went, how did we do this?
Yeah. Right.
Like we couldn't believe it because it was AI. It was like landing Ferrari or Lamborghini and you're the agent. It was like, wow.
Yeah.
KRG was a big one. That was before then.
Yep.
KRG was starting out and they were new as well.
Okay.
And chassis were new. So the market wasn't what it is today. So it was awesome to see those guys grow and us grow with them. So we had a really good relationship. Obviously, Proof Research is a very modern one.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got your Area 419s and, you know, Spur was another one. But none of them, like Spur wasn't exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Atlas. But there was a lot, to be honest, at the start. The majority was, you know, dare I say it, grey imports.
Mm.
That's just how it happened. You know, no getting around it. And a lot of that was, you know, thanks to a lot of guys in the States and some major players in the US were helping us out.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly a challenging, daunting thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what? And obviously, since then, it's become. I mean, it's become sort of a pretty major brand in its own right. You know, you guys are so present with serious competition winners and many competitions you've been involved with from a sponsorship point of view and such like that. So it's exciting to have seen that sort of very much a side hustle become a pretty serious sort of thing. And you guys have got, well, I guess COVID's probably changed a few plans for you, no doubt. But they'll get back on track, and no doubt. No bloke like you will not let some sort of little virus stop the plans you have. But you. Through that period, what did you enjoy? Like, you know, what made you smile in terms of equipment that you saw? You're like, yeah, this looks awesome. Would do some standout products through those early years?
It's pretty much everything because we were our biggest customers. Um, everything we brought in because we wanted it. It
Yeah,
wasn't.
gotcha.
It wasn't a plan of, say, this is a major brand and it will look good.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't believe in it, but it'll sell a lot. It was, well, we want it. We want to use it ourselves. So if we want it, others would surely want it.
Yep.
And so the first of everything was always for us. And then I ended up selling everything anyway and sold all of Tony's stuff as well. But I guess our philosophies, we sell what we use. We don't use what we sell, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So if we want it and we're happy with it, we'll put our name behind it and we'll promote it. But if we're not happy, if we're not willing to buy it, we don't want to take other people's money for it. And, it's always held, I guess it holds us accountable, but it's always done us right. And that's just the way we like to work.
And certainly you're dealing with a lot of premium sort of brands and higher end sort of stuff. That's certainly good to see. And you continue to do that, and obviously continue to bring in new brands and work with new partners. When was your first SHOT Show that you went to over in Vegas?
Wow, maybe 8 years ago.
Okay.
The second one was when we met you guys.
The second one, yeah. So that's gone. And did you go the year before that? I'm trying to think. That was 2017 that we met up, which is how we met. No. Before that. Remember we bumped into you guys at Dick's Sporting Goods? That was 2017.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
Serious?
It was. Yeah, it was not that long ago. Like in the scheme of things, that was my first SHOT show, and so I knew of Delta Tactical, and I think we'd crossed paths or something on those lines, and I knew that that Danny was involved with Delta Tactical. So we're at Dick's Sporting Gear in the guns related section, and I saw these two guys walking past with Delta Tactical on their shirts. I'm like, all right, well, one of them's called Danny, so I'll just yell out, "Hey, Danny!" And the problem I had was both you and Tony turned around. I'm like, well, that doesn't really help me. I don't know which one it is, but anyway, that was the way it was. It was quite amusing for all the places to have met in Dick's Sporting Goods over in Vegas. But anyway, that was 2017 for me. So you've been going previously.
Well before that, then it was probably 13 or 14.
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
And how did that blow your mind seeing all of that equipment?
Yeah, so the first SHOT Show was, I don't know, it was like cloud nine. We saw half of it.
Yep.
We were floating. We were just like, what happened? It was like you'd swallowed, some magic mushies, and you were just like in the land of candy. It was just guns everywhere, stuff you don't see, touching, feeling, and it's like, oh, look at this, oh, but look at that, oh, but look at this, and it was amazing. And our biggest disappointment and regret from that one was we only got to see half the show. And we're like, well, if we saw this, what did we not see?
Yeah.
What did we miss out? And so we had to go back the next year, and we said, this time we have to see it all. So on the last day, I think we still had about a third of it to go. We just went, you know what? We're going to walk every aisle. I don't care if we see anything or not. We're going to say we did the whole show.
Oh, wow.
And so we did. And then as time goes by, you'll know yourself. You begin to target, and you begin to in advance, they got the app. You pick who you want to see, and you spend your time, and what's not you, and you can really cull it down. But like for anyone that's ever wanted to go, do it. Yeah. Except maybe don't do it next year, but do it.
Fair point. Yeah, I was planning on going next year. I try to do every 2 years, and next year was my year, and I think that is off the cards. If there is even one, we'll see.
Well, did you get the email on Friday saying they're still running it and it's bigger than ever?
Yeah. Of course they're still running it, and of course it's bigger than ever. But we'll see how much of the international community get along to it. I have my doubts.
Exactly.
We'll
agree.
See how we go. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break because it is time to see what is on the shelf this week. So, Travi, you're ready for this, mate?
Mate, I'm ready. What's on the shelf?
Dude,
I haven't seen this live before, so
I'm very excited about this part of it. This arrived today. I haven't even opened it yet. That's some fresh Ironside coffee. That's about a week's worth for here. But I was going to. Danny, have you tried Ironside coffee, mate? I know you like your coffees.
I haven't. I'm really looking forward to it, but I haven't.
All right, we're going to have to get you some Ironside coffee, mate. And it comes like this. It comes wrapped in its own little... I assume it comes like that. They don't just do that for me. I wouldn't have thought they'd do that just for me. All tied up with stamps on it. And then every time you get this gorgeous little card that's handwritten. How good's that? Anyway, so there's a shout out for Ironside Coffee. And I got a code for World of Tanks if I want to play that. So that's pretty good. What else have we got here? Oh, yes.
what's also great about the Ironside coffee is you get one of those therapeutic unboxing videos as well. It's great, the sound.
Yeah, exactly right. It's ASMR with the sound. Got one of these unicorns at the moment. Just arrived. This Strike Eagle 525. It just rolled in, and that is already gone. It's on its way out. But I just snuck it in to be able to show it off because we're thanks to Scoped Out for making this all happen. Danny, you got anything exciting on your shelf over there, mate? You've probably got a shelf with bits and pieces on it.
Yeah, there's a few things exciting, but a simple one, seeing as everyone's at home, Fix-It sticks at big on innovation and obviously toolkits. Mm-hmm. And one of the coolest things I saw at the SHOT Show was a little thing called a scope jack, is that little gizmo. So when you want to level your scope, no more machine levels or anything needed. Yep. This just pops onto your pick rail in between. So if you've got a single rail, single piece mount, uni mount, it won't work. Yep. But you just pop it on there, you raise this and the bottom of you do your screws up, drop this down and pop it back off and you're done. Huh. Simple 1 minute job, scope leveled.
Wow. That's let's see if we can bring it up here on screen. Which should be that one there. All right, Travis, I'll let you take back over, mate, and bring that up there because we may have lost Danny again. But that's I know he's back. That's the Fix-It stick scope jack. That sounds cool. All right, very good. We have to get some of them.
It's a cool little gizmo.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. I also have speaking of another gizmo. Little gizmo that's slightly connected to Danny as well. This is the Short Action Precision SkyPod. What is it called? A quick. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway,
a quick release lever.
Pod lock reliever. And how have SkyPods been popular there, Danny? You sell those ones. Hook him up for that part. Hook me up for one of these.
They have.
Yep.
And I'm glad you brought it up because there's some news. I don't know if it's out yet.
Yep.
Or not, but, and I'm just trying to bring it up, maybe MDT saw what was happening and they've actually bad news and good news. They've discontinued the SkyPod.
Oh, wow.
There so
okay,
they've discontinued the Gen 1.
Yep.
And they're making a Gen 2. And the Gen 2, believe it or not, I'm reading it here, has all the adjustability of the current version, but will include a hard lockout for pan and toolless adjustment for the cans.
There you go.
But the downside is they're not going to be available till October, November. So no more Gen 1s, but stay tuned for Gen 2s.
Okay. Well, there you go. You said you had something to mention about them, so I'm glad we got that in. Last thing on the shelf, completely unrelated, but is my obsession right at the moment, is these. If you happen to, this is a really appropriate moment for the Instagram tag, by the way, Travis. Just a heads up in about 10 seconds. Basketball cards are back, guys. Just want to let you know, 90s, early 90s. And if you like them, nearly lost them all. There's a few of them. That's one of the things. But if you do like them and want to chat them, you can catch me on Impact Rusty on Instagram because I've been doing sort of opening and boring stuff like that. But there you go. There's the man. Man of the moment, Michael Jordan. Anyway, that's taking over my life currently while we can't run around the country doing comps. Just looking at people who are much better at their sport than I am. That's pretty much it. All right. Well, what are we pointing out? Oh, we've got some comments. We will get onto that in a moment, Sean. Fantastic. That's right. That's what's on the shelf. We need to get on to making an intro or something, Travi, if you can do that. That'd be great. Magic one up if you wouldn't mind. Okay, great. We'll just run with that. Cut that in there. Yeah. All right. Danny, I was going to ask you about, obviously now you're commonly getting phone calls from guys who are getting into PRS or long range and that sort of thing. And no doubt some of them are hitting you up with, hey, I've got a pretty low-key budget. What are you suggesting? And then some guys will probably come in and say, dude, don't care what it costs. I just want the best. Where do you sort of trend with those two extremes? And is there a happy middle ground, or what have you found?
It's a good question. We do get a lot of that. There's certainly those can only, some can afford, like not everyone can afford the same thing. Yeah. Like you said, some people unlimited budget and they just want the best and they don't care. And, it's so subjective, the best, but everything comes down to with us for purpose. And every time we get asked, the first question we ask is, well, what's your budget? Mm-hmm. And then we jump off from there. So, we do a lot of stuff with Tika. We do a lot of custom builds, factory upgrades, obviously with the KRG chassis. And we always recommend, if somebody doesn't have 10, 15, 20 grand to spend, which is fair enough.
Always,
let's look at a Tika. Let's look at let's look at a Woomera from Lithgow, the 105. A Howard Bravo. They're all great starting points. Spend a little bit more on the optic because the optic you can transfer. Yeah. But there's nothing wrong with starting with the Tika. I know some people say just save up more and wait. I guess, I don't know. My philosophy is, when we were looking for a house and we wanted to build, everyone said, don't stress out. You're not going to know what you need until you live in it for a while. And it was so true. And so with equipment, it can be like that. If somebody's never shot PRS, and if you're talking to them over the phone or over the email, I mean, you don't know their size, you don't know their cheek weld, you don't know their position. Are they going to be better suited to lower rings, higher rings, a stock with an adjustable cheek piece, not a chassis, etc. So get into it. Get into you can get into PRS, production class. There's nothing wrong with that. You get a nice Tika, Lithgow, a Bravo. Those three options, phenomenal shooters. Put a good optic, spend the bulk of your money on an optic, and off you go and try it. As everyone said, the community is so good. You don't need all the equipment. You'll have people throwing stuff at you, begging you to try theirs because they want to help.
Yeah.
So go out there, test it, do it for a year or two. And then work out, well, you know what? Now that I've done this, maybe a stock's not for me, a chassis is, or maybe a chassis is not for me, a stock is. Or, maybe this scope doesn't suit my needs, or this reticle, or, I might want a 60-degree throw, a 90-degree, but at least from yourself because, everyone's got opinions, but they're all based on their own experiences.
Yeah.
So, tell this is 100% what you need. It's, well, try here and go there. And those, other people that have unlimited budgets, they're just like, what I want could be an AI and it's great. And they want it and they feel good and they feel confident and it helps and great. No problem. Go with it. It's awesome. You're not going to go wrong. But somebody that can't afford an AI, you can't say, well, don't shoot for 2 years, wait, and then, But I 100% agree with what Jay said. Spend the bulk of your money on an optic. That's the way to do it. And please don't cheap out on the rings. Because you can have a great rifle and a great scope. We get it a lot. I'm going to buy an AI and I'm going to buy, say, a Night Force ATAC R, but I only want to spend $100 on rings.
Yeah, per ring,
Well,
per ring.
they're the things that hold the two together.
Yeah.
They're very, very important and critical to your system.
Mm.
They must work, and they must work right. So, yeah, optic and rings. And then with the rifle, you can work up from there because, I mean, let's face it, everybody said this is my forever gun, and it never is. So,
based
you know,
on
you're more
your experience, you've probably said that about 14 times. And it's
it's good business that it's not their forever gun. We love it.
Of course. Yeah.
But play around, see how you go. I mean, you know, you can start off with a good base. You can start off with, say, for instance, a Tikka, and then put it in a chassis later on, and then shoot the barrel out, and then upgrade to a match barrel, and then get the max use out of that, and go, maybe now I want custom or I want a high-end factory. But test it out, play with it, shoot, do some courses, call up Jay. There's heaps of people out there that'll teach you and train you and you know, get a feel for what you want.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, mate, and that experience and the ability. I had a gentleman here earlier today checking out some scopes, and I suggested, mate, if you get a chance to get out to the club, he was pretty keen on getting out to our club, and said, mate, because you spend a day out there, and you do that, you probably would have seen 13, 14, 15 scopes, had a look through them, see what you liked, all that sort of thing. And I think one of the classic ones that you brought up was the stock versus chassis discussion debate. And really, and from my experience, because I was always stocks, that was always the one I wanted to use, was to, you know, the only way I really got decisive about that was to use one for a long period of time and then use the other for a reasonable period of time, and then you're able to go, yeah, no, actually this one was better for me, and you know, be able to run a chassis. I ran my first chassis in a match up in Darwin with Butters, and used his gun, and went, okay, there's something to this chassis thing. I've always been onto stocks, but it worked really well, and so being able to have that ability to do that, and you're right, the community are pretty darn good with that. But if you've got the option, put a chassis on an old Howe or a Tikka or a Remy or something like that, and then you can get to run that experiment. You don't have to spend bucket loads on some of that stuff either.
Yeah, 100%. And there's no one size fits all. I mean, I've got, for competition, I use chassis. I love them. They're adaptable. That I can make them work for me. For hunting, I use stocks. I'm not going to walk around with, you know, my Habu in the bush trying to, you know, take an off and shot at a snap, you know. So everything serves a purpose. And I guess, you know, you got to determine what that purpose is and then work your way up from there. And so you're talking about my Mildura shoot. That's why every single PRS match I've shot, everything I've used has been completely different. I've never used the same thing twice.
Yep.
And I do that on purpose because I want to get the most experience possible. So when people call up and say, hey, I'm thinking about this, what do you think? And I can say, well, I've used that and this is what I found. I'm not saying you're going to, but this is my experience. And then I've used that and different calibers and whatever, just to try help them out a little bit more, because the last thing you want is, you know, somebody to make a purchase, go away, it's wrong. And then they're not happy with it, or they're turned away.
I think you're obviously in a very unique position where the ability to be able to run multiple pieces of gear. And I mean, just a heads up, it would not be recommended to change your gear between every match, would it, Travi? That's not what you would suggest.
No, definitely not. From speaking with a lot of people, they just say, look, don't change anything before a match. Just go into it with what you've got and run with it. That's the best thing you can do.
But I guess, Danny, you're in such a unique position where there's a real advantage to being able to try all sorts of different equipment, and so it's fantastic to be able to bring that experience to your customers and be able to say, hey, look, I have tried that one and it did this and performed this. Not my personal favourite, but if you like this style of thing, you'll probably enjoy it. So Danny will join us back in, but. We've got a couple of questions there we'll try and get to in a moment. But what else is how you finding the buttons there, Travi? Because it can be some challenges.
Pressing the buttons is the easy bit. It's all about the timing, really.
Good stuff, mate. Yes, Danny, we've got you back, mate. We were just saying how that is a real advantage for you to be able to run lots of different pieces of equipment in your situation.
I agree with you guys, and I agree with Travi, and that's why I suck at PRS because I never get a chance to get used to anything or train with anything because I'm always changing it. But for me, like I said, my priority is to get that experience to help people that call up, help customers, as opposed to go out there and win, and also have a good time and, you know, hang out with the guys and the girls and, you know, just enjoy and socialize and get to know it. You know, my motivations are different, but I agree 100%. You know, you need to familiarize yourself with what you're going to use and stick with it. Give it a chance.
Now, you are the agents for Zero Compromise Optics, and I got to not anymore. Oh well,
no.
Had a question from Sean about it, so perhaps we don't have anything to
ask.
Further, but I was just going to say, like they're obviously a very unique beast because you've used them a bit, haven't you?
Yeah. So we still sell them. We still stock them, although stock is a loose word.
Stock is like your internet connection, being hard to get a hold of. Sorry.
I think we've lost him there again, Rusty.
Yeah, mate, he's been exported. That's the issue. So the Zero Compromise one's a very amazing scope, really unique, and hopefully Danny can give us some perspective on that. There he is. He's on a mission now. He's heading outdoors, trying to get some. Put a mask on, mate. Put a mask on if you're out there. It's unsafe.
I don't have to. I'm in my backyard.
Right. Oh, good. All right, let's see if it was the dungeon.
See if this is better.
See if it was the dungeon causing some dramas. He's back, mate. So tell us what you know about Zero Compromise, because there's certainly a unique level of scope.
They're a phenomenal optic. When it comes to glass, I think there is Zero Compromise. We've compared them, we've looked at them. Everybody's eye is different, picks up different color renditions, etc. So it's hard to say, but with the people that we've sold them to and the people that we've compared them to, everybody has said they've got the best glass.
Yep.
And we've compared them to pretty much everything high end.
Yep.
So, you know, it just is. It's a 36 mil tube, so it's a little more painful. So it means you got to get a new set of rings because I doubt you'll have a 36 mil pair of rings laying around.
Should just be able to get the Dremel out, shouldn't we? Dremel should be fine on that.
Yeah, it'll be all right. Got a Dremel on a gunsmith.
Good.
Their turrets are nice. I think there are other scopes that have more tactile feeling turrets, but they're still nice. Their illumination is amazing. They're a sexy looking scope.
Mm-hmm.
They have 35 mil of adjustment in the elevation range.
Yep.
It's huge. They've now released, well, they're about to, and they sort of have, but they haven't hit Australia yet, the Impact 3 reticle, which is the new one, which they're still working. I think people should have seen it now. It's got that funny sort of waterfall-y shape at the top, which is designed to range steel plates. Mm-hmm. So there's a whole explanation on that. But as far as the optic goes, look, it's phenomenal. But again, it depends on what your purpose is. You know, there are guys that shoot just during the day. Yep. And, you know, we shoot PRS, and is it going to do better than anything else? Like, you know, the top tier scopes? Probably not. It's these scopes shine in the last little bit of light, and of course in their repeatability. And Zero Compromise is new, so it's, you know, like anything that comes out new, you need to see if it's gonna the test of time. Yep. But so far I haven't heard anything negative. But it's the last little bit of light and the heavy mirage, how well it cuts through it. That's what's so good about the tangents. So it depends, but they definitely are an amazing, amazing scope. But I mean, like I said, you know, someone shooting PRS, are they going to see the benefits? Maybe, maybe not. It's up to them. But if you're a guy that's shooting long range and you've spent $50,000 on a safari somewhere around the world, and it's make or break, and you've got that one shot, and you sort of went, I'm going to save $3,000 and buy a different scope, you'll be wanting to give your right kidney or, you know, to go back in time and have that better optic. So it just depends.
Absolutely. Particularly, depends on how flush with funds and how much of them you want to commit in. Absolutely.
Yeah, correct.
What about in the action side of things? I know you bring in a few different sort of options there. What's been most popular of late?
Impact for PRS, definitely.
Yep.
Impact's been the major one. We now have the agency for Zermatt. So Bighorn with their SR3, TL3 and their Origins have been quite popular.
Yep.
And we haven't announced it yet, but we're also bringing in Terminus.
Okay. Yep.
And there's a lot of talk around the Zeus, and a lot of people want that 60-degree bolt throw.
Yes.
Just like the Curtises, there's a few Curtis Vectors getting around. I know Sean, who asked about the ZCO, has one.
Yep.
So I think that'll be a really good rival to the Impact. Sort of in that PRS-driven, designed, made action to run in that dirt. But they're the major ones, definitely.
So just on that 60-degree versus 90-degree, for those who perhaps have heard those numbers but not familiar with how that plays out in terms of a gun and the benefits of one or the other, because AIs are 60 degrees, aren't they, as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, you able to give us a bit of a rundown of the two sort of methods of those different actions?
Well, basically, the long and short of it is the 90-degree, you require a longer lift to disengage your case, pull it back and extract it. Whereas a 60-degree, it's a lot shorter. It's running generally a 3-lug action. And so 60 degrees, and in PRS, we know it's, how many times have you been there shooting and you've taken a shot and you've missed out by 0.01 of a second. And, across 10 shots, 60 degrees to 90 degrees, that could be the difference.
Gotcha.
Because it's quicker to cycle. Basically, that's what it comes down to, time.
Yep. And is there a compromise the other way? Is going 90 got some inherent sort of benefits that it locks up better or anything along those lines?
Look, I think at the end of the day, if the action is designed to work and it's a good action, it's going to work. You know what I mean? Like, you can get some actions that have just got problems, and whether it's 90 or 60 or whatever, it's not going to work. But I mean, impacts the 90s, no problems. I've run a mousing field, no problems. AIs, throw rocks at them, they'll still work. Two very different styles. And, if the action is machined to true spec and it's well thought out, it's going to work regardless. The biggest problem you're going to have is obviously tuning your magazines, and especially with chassis and the mag tolerances and getting them up in there. I think the majority of I certainly have had a lot of mag jams, and that's just come down to magazine. It's not the fault of the action. It's just didn't set it up right. That's it.
That combination, yeah. There's some products on the obviously you talked about the SkyPods, but is there anything else sort of on the way in that has got your attention? I know you said that everything you bring in, you want for yourself and probably end up buying. But is there a couple of things on the horizon that you're really excited about particularly? The
Rimex from Zermatt.
Okay. Yep.
I'm really looking forward to that with the proof prefits. It's just, it's going to be a ripper. And
that's the
Terminus actions. Sorry?
Just go back on that one. That's a 22 caliber rifle, isn't it? It's a
so it's a 22. So it's basically the competition to the Voodoo. Okay. It's a Remington 700 footprint.
Yep.
The magazine, the difference between the Voodoo and the Rimex is where that little, I guess, lip comes up to feed the little rounds is reversed. I think some people, I've never had a Voodoo, so I don't know, but I know Zermatt spent a lot of time working on the magazine angle and the feed to make sure it feeds well.
Yep.
So look, the benefit is it's a custom 22 action. Yes, it's expensive, but it's up around the Voodoo price, a little bit cheaper.
Yep.
Proof make a prefit barrel, so you can get steel or carbon, and it drops into any Remington 700 footprint, stock or chassis.
Yeah, nice. Good combination. I remember that being announced at SHOT, and there was a few like that, and we were getting very excited about that. That'd be good. One more item that's on the cards that you look forward to seeing how it plays out.
Yeah, the new AI rifles.
Okay.
So the AX Mark III and the ASRs. AI have spoken about making, and I've heard some stuff and seen some stuff, a competition-specific rifle, PRS-driven.
Yep.
So that will be, it'll take a while.
Yeah.
And then we just can't wait to get our hands on the Tika prefits from Proof.
Okay.
Because then it's screw in, screw out, off you go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that'll be.
But I mean, everybody, KRG's new stuff, Area 419's new gear, and they're always innovating. Graham, I mean, where does it stop?
It doesn't stop. That's the way it goes. Hence the reason I was asking, is there one thing that you're particularly excited about? Because
there's not one. There's about 100.
No, that's right. We could talk for many hours about all the exciting things, and no doubt by the time they all get here, there will be more on the list, because that's just the way that this world works at the moment.
Yes.
In terms of obviously you've been involved with a whole stack of guys, and we're running out of time, but a whole stack of guys in setting up guns and setting up packages and doing all that sort of stuff. Is there some common, I wouldn't say errors, but a couple of things that you commonly see as things that guys do wrong? I'm not trying to pick on people doing things wrong, but in terms of like some advice you could give when deciding on equipment that you often see people don't listen to or don't consider when they buy it the first time around?
Look, the one I get a lot is I want my scope as low as possible to the barrel.
Yes. Yep.
I'm sure you get it as well.
Yep.
It's, it doesn't matter if I can't see it or I need to mash my head sideways or take a chunk out of the stock to see it. It must be that, tall off the barrel. So trying to explain to people that's not necessarily the way to go. And it's, talking to them about getting their proper cheek well and positioning is a common sort of constant one.
Yeah.
The other one is, I guess, the rings. Like I said, I want a cheap set of rings.
Yeah.
Even though I've spent $5,000 on a scope, I've blown my budget and I need to save on the rings. And then, you know what? It just comes down to lack of knowledge and understanding. Yeah. And it's not their fault. It's just, their mate bought this and it shoots like poison and it must be the same gun and the same load. And I was talking to Luke about it today and, we were sharing stories, and it's just trying to educate them and making sure they make the decision that's right for them, not because their mate got one.
It's certainly we see that a lot with the club, and we're very fortunate here in Adelaide. One, we don't have to wear masks all the time, but two, we have a club that we can regularly shoot at and shoot comps on a regular basis, and obviously Trophy is part of that. And so commonly when I get a phone call of people like, oh, I'm thinking about getting into, I'm just like, mate, if you live close by, just come up to the club. And they're like, oh, I haven't got any guns that are really suited. It doesn't matter, mate. Just rock up and you'll be taken care of. And once you've shot a 22 match, you start getting a bit of a feel for, oh, okay, maybe I like that sort of style or this sort of style. And I think that's, if you're in a position where that's an option to be able to get out and get behind a couple of guns with some people that do actually do it, don't just talk about doing it, do actually go out and shoot matches, that is absolute gold when you can do that. I'm sure you've seen the other side of that, Danny, where people have come to you having done that, and they're like, "Oh, right, I shot a match on the weekend. Now I know what I'm really after."
Yeah, and they're great. Look, they're all good, but those guys that just 100% know what they want, then it just comes down to how soon can we get it if we don't have it?
Which is certainly a challenge at the moment.
At the moment, yeah.
Yeah, I see someone has just asked about Express Post, and mate, I can tell you without having to defer this question to Danny that Express Post has no guarantees around it anymore. Through Australia Post, they've removed all guarantees. It's just you just pay more and hope that it gets there quicker. Welcome to the world of freight at the moment. But anyway, on that delightful note, Danny, we may, unless there's anything particularly you want to make mention of, we can get close to wrapping up, I think.
Yeah, the other thing I didn't mention when talking about exciting things, we've just won the distribution for Bix and Andy as well in Australia.
Congratulations!
So thank you. We've got them coming.
I love dipping them in with my coffee.
Do you want the one stage or the 2-stage dip?
Oh, right. Hang on, I misheard you. What are they?
Bix and Andy triggers.
Yeah.
So
There
the
we go.
original ball bearing triggers, they should be turning up. Oh, look, it's you know how it is, permits and then freight. But hopefully within the next 2 to 3 months, they'll start popping up in a fairly, big way.
Yeah, fantastic. Very nice, mate. Very nice. And we won't delve into importing at the moment and the challenges that are faced with that, because both of us will start crying. I think it's a challenging time for all of that. But anyway, people have been pretty good. So fantastic, Danny. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight. Thanks for joining us on the show. Travi, if you can get that little Instagram details of Danny, so everyone can go and follow Delta Tactical on Facebook, which you guys are watching now, and you should be able to link that in somewhere, or on Instagram, and I don't know whatever else. Is there any other shout outs you need to put out there, Danny?
No, Facebook and Instagram.
Yep,
and the website. That's it. Yeah,
go and check it out and see what's going on. That'd be great. Fantastic. Travi, thanks very much, mate. You've done well. Make sure you throw your own little plug up there on your Instagram side of things, if you can work out how to do that. I've thrown him curveballs there now. He's learning his way, but there he is.
He's got it sorted. Watch this. Ready?
Yeah,
At the click of your finger, bang, there it is.
Oh, wow.
Travis Shooting Adventures on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks,
Magic,
Rusty.
Mate. Can you, fantastic,
you're a
guys.
star, Travi.
Look at him go. Excellent. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching, for joining us again, and please like and share and pass it out and do all the things we can do to continue to do this. We'll be back next week. Next week we've got a very unique show. We will be getting taken through some reloading related software by a guy in Melbourne, actually, so I suspect he'll be wearing a mask, so we'll try and connect with him somehow. But he's going to actually take us through on a screen share and take us through this software and look at all the various options that you've got within it, which is, I think he offered to show me on Zoom the other day. Then I said, "Oh, hang on, let's show everyone. Let's see what it's like, an Australian-made product." So I look forward to seeing that, being able to share that with you next week, and then a few more exciting guests lined up. So can't wait. Danny, thanks so much for your time tonight. Travi, thanks for getting involved, and guys, thanks so much for watching. We will hit that outro one when you get a moment, mate, and we will catch up with you guys next time. See you later.
Thanks, guys.
Get down.